Good morning and welcome back to Morning at NTV. Idris Matusegawa is my name. Again, to keep with the conversation, go to our social media platforms. That is on Twitter, which is X, Facebook, any social media platform that you have. Use the hashtag Morning at NTV. Now, for Muslims, you know it is Ramadan. And Rashul Adidi from Koboko talked to a sheikh there to just explain what the thoughts are, what the Muslims are going through. And Rashul, we shall be going right to you right now. Rashul.
Thank you for ushering me into the Morning at NTV show. Good morning to you in the studio and our esteemed audience of Morning at NTV show. And tonight we're shining spotlight on one of the most sacred periods in the Islamic calendar, and that is the whole month of Ramadan, observed by more than millions of Muslims across the world. Now, when you look at this particular month, this is the month where a number of Muslims reflect on their spiritual deeds and also self-discipline, but also not forgetting the community bonding. They always make sure that they share with the communities. In this particular month, we see that there's embodiment and certain things that Muslims always ensure that they observe, and one of it being the values of compassion, generosity, and forgiveness. And to make us understand this particular context and subject better, this morning I'm delighted to be joined by one of the scholars in Koboko municipality. He happens to be a sheikh, and also at one point I used to see him teaching Arabic. So we want him to bring us into speed. When you speak about fasting, an ordinary person will want to understand, could it just be plain fasting, or there are certain practices that are supposed to be observed in this holy month of Ramadan? Let's dive into this particular conversation on Morning at NTV show. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, thank you very much, Adidi. We are very much encouraged in this month to really observe all kind of worships, to see that Allah blesses us with the Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr is actually a night of power in which the Quran was revealed. Therefore, we need to push closer to the Quran and read the Quran several times. If you can finish it, 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, the better. Laylatul Qadr is a night of power that is arranged for us, that when you do worship in it and you get that chance, it will be recorded to your deeds that you have performed 1,000-month prayer. Therefore, I want to encourage us to really read the Quran, stand at night, and look for that Laylatul Qadr. Secondly, the issue of fasting and prayer, these things are connected. These things go concurrently. You know, there are policies, procedure, maybe what, and so on. You know, where you cannot fast when you have not declared to Almighty Allah that you worship only Him. That is Shahada, the first pillar of Islam. After that, prayer, then followed by zakah, and then fasting. Ideally, you are supposed to protect this fasting using what? Using prayers. So that all that you do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you abundantly. This month, according to the Prophet, is a very important month for the Ummah of Muhammad, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a lot of blessings. The blessings for which Muslims are all urged to look for and increase their worship, increase their practice, their spiritual practice, to see that they really earn a lot of rewards from the Almighty Allah. One, it is the month in which the Quran was revealed. This very Quran, which is the Imam or the leader of Muslims, was revealed in this very month. So all Muslims are supposed to be close and read the Quran more than in any other month. Secondly, Muslims are supposed to share. It's a month of sharing all aspects of good things. Particularly, breaking fast of one another is encouraged in this very month. So I therefore want to urge the Muslims to stick to this very practice of the Prophet, that this month, when you break a fast of a friend, of a brother, of a sister, you get that very reward. You get that very reward that the person has fasted for. Above all, this is a month of mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has all His mercy. This very month on the believers and the whole universe. So anyone who happens to be a master, and people are working under him, and when he decides to reduce the workload, of the workers, this person will be opened all doors of paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us to really double our efforts. The Prophet said, anybody who will do something ordained, for example, prayers, like the prayer of one prayer just of Ashir, the 5 daily prayers, you pray one, you are recorded that you have prayed more than 70 times. I therefore want to urge the Muslims to stick into observing the 5 daily prayers in this very month so that we fetch these enormous rewards from Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us to stand for...
Maybe Sheikh, our time is fast being spent. Let's understand, these are some of the things that we're supposed to observe, and a Muslim can actually get much reward according to what you gave us earlier on. What are those things that we're not supposed to do during this particular month? Somebody will want to understand, yes, there are those ones where you're rewarded highly, but there are also those ones which if you do, it nullifies your fasting. Which ones are some of those?
Thank you very much, the presenter. I think one of the most dangerous things that when we do, we shall not get the reward of fasting is telling lies. Our Prophet ﷺ said, it is better for you not to fast when you are a liar, because lies will consume all the rewards, the enormous rewards I will put here, like just fire, eating out firewood. Then taking haram food, taking something that Allah doesn't permit. For example, you steal, you break fast using something that you know very well you have got in a very way that Allah does not want. That one is not allowed. Taking drugs, some people drink alcohol, some people take opium, some people eat marungi. These ones are not allowed. Once you do that, you are reducing the value of your fasting.
Maybe others say they can take it after breaking the fast. Could this be allowed, or it is still not fight?
No, of course what you eat is what makes you actually practice. What makes you, we are supposed to eat during the night, and therefore anything that is not lawful, that Allah does not want, is not allowed, whether during the day, whether during the what? During the night, it's not allowed. It's only those lawful things. Getting closer to our wives that are legally married is allowed. Anything lawful is allowed to do it, so long as the sun has set, before the dawn breaks, we are allowed to do all those goods. And all bad things, we are not allowed to move closer. Thank you very much. I remain Sadik Sebbi from Kauthara Masjid.
Okay, thank you very much. This has been one of the scholars who has made us to understand better when you speak about the whole month of Ramadan, what could it ordinarily mean, but also above all, what are some of the do's and don'ts during this whole month of Ramadan, which is being observed by millions of Muslims across the world, and also, of course, here in Uganda. And he has spoken a lot here. This reminds me of one of the quotes said by Norbert Mao during one of his engagements in Parliament, where he said, it's okay for you to disagree with the law, but it is totally wrong for you to disobey the law. The same applies with the Quran. There has been already set things that Muslims are supposed to observe. And of course, during his deliberation, he did tell us that there are certain laws and rules that Muslims are supposed to observe during this whole month of Ramadan. And of course, when you look at the Islamic calendar, it is very much different from a secular calendar. So this particular month is always being concluded by Eid al-Fitr, which is a celebration to conclude the different days of fasting. Sometimes it is 29th, sometimes it is 30th, depending on what the calendar, the Islamic calendar says, and also when the moon will be sighted. So this is what we had for you about this special edition of Morning at NTV Show, as Muslims across the world observe the whole month of Ramadan that started on 1st of this particular month. For the interest of time, allow me to let the room back to you in the studio with Morning at NTV Show.